Welcome everyone to Christiana's Psychic Cafe. I'm so glad you're here. We have a great show. I have been so excited for this. All the way from Japan, Fiona Benjamin will be joining us. She is a tarot reader, and we'll be welcoming her in just one moment. We will be doing readings on air, live free readings on air. But you gotta call in. Chatting in the chat room isn't gonna work today. We'll also take any questions that you have, not just for readings, but if there's something that I should be asking Fiona that I've forgotten to ask, don't be afraid to pick up the phone and ask her yourself. The number is 615-692-1262. And let's bring her on right now. Fiona Benjamin, it is so nice to have you here on Christiana's Psychic Cafe. How are you?
I am doing great, and this is my first show, so I am super excited.
Now, when you say this is your first show, do you mean like on Blog Talk or anywhere?
Anywhere.
Oh, wow. I am popping your media cherry.
Yes, you are.
Oh, Fiona, I'll be gentle.
Oh, it's okay.
Oh, that is great. I am so honored. And I have to say I'm really feeling proud of myself for getting on that first because, you know, clearly you are a rising star in the tarot world, and we're going to talk about that, how you got there and where you're going. But let's start. I have so many questions. Let's start with where you are right now and what you're doing right now. Now, first of all, you're in Japan right now. So while it's Sunday night for me, it's Monday morning for you. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Well, welcome to Monday. So it's almost like we're time traveling. That's kind of cool. It's tomorrow already. See?
Yes.
Great things that can happen. Okay. So you have a wonderful sort of catchphrase title. You are the tarot reader of Okinawa.
Yes, I am. I should be a tarot reader from the future now since I'm a day ahead.
You are a tarot reader from the future. That's right. If anyone wants a tarot reading from the future, we're going to have to do that. You will have to read for me today at the very least. And if anyone wants to get in on this, 615-692-1262. Okay, so tell me, I've never been to Japan, and I was reading your website at FionaBenjamin.com. That's right? FionaBenjamin.com? Yes. I was reading your website. You've got this really interesting cultural background. Tell me how you ended up in Japan and how you became the tarot reader of Okinawa. Tell me about that. That is so cool.
Well, I started reading tarot since I was 12, and it became kind of a background hobby, and I dabbled in the military a little bit. I actually enlisted in the Marine Corps, and I helped a lot of people cope with some of the personal issues that they had through my use of tarot. And I apologize for the sirens in the background. But I used tarot to help people cope with a lot of their family issues, their marital issues. And when I was a reservist, so I only went to training once a month. And basically, otherwise, I didn't have a job, and I wasn't doing very well in New York City. I was homeless at the time, and one of my friends actually said to me, hey, you know, you do that weird fortune-telling thing with the cards, don't you? And I said, yeah, sure. And he said, you could make a killing doing that. And I was like, well, I don't know. I'm not all that, I don't think I'm that great, you know, not all that psychic, the usual fears that people had. But I did join a a psychic website, and I began reading there. And in a few months, about 3 or 4 months, I became the #1 tarot reader on there, and I was shocked at how well I was doing. So my husband was here in Okinawa, and I was really far along. I was 34 weeks pregnant, and I hopped on a plane and came here to live with him. And I was going stir crazy, and the time difference for my American clients was too much for me, being that far along pregnant. So I decided, you know what, let me try doing readings in person. And I had picked up your book right before I left for Japan. I decided, this is going to be the book I read on my 18 to 20 hour flight going from New York City to Okinawa, Japan. And I was blown away. I was like, this is like the business book for tarot readers. And I took a lot of advice from there, and I really took to heart a lot of the things you said, and I decided, hey, I'm going to build a business out of this. And that's basically how I became a tarot reader of Okinawa. I'm the only, as far as I know, at least, and no one has corrected me so far, I'm the only American English-speaking tarot reader in Okinawa, and most of the island are local Japanese, but a lot of it is also taken over by American military bases.
Right. Now, your husband is in the service, yeah? Is that why he's there?
Yes.
Okay, very good. And thank you both for your service. Let me just throw that in there. So I'm so honored, and you and I have never spoken before, but we're friends on Facebook, so we get to know each other a little bit. And you'd mentioned before to me that Fortune Stellar was helpful, and I'm so glad to hear it. But here's the thing that really fascinates me. Clearly you are a very international person, and I'm really not. Fortune Stellar was written based on my experiences in a very comparatively small region, really the northeast coast from, New York, Connecticut down to Florida, pretty much that. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting to know that what worked for me when I first started my business in Putnam, Connecticut, also works in this very different place, a place that to me seems so foreign and so exotic. But I guess tarot is tarot and business is business, huh?
I'm a firm believer in, if you really want to do something, if you're really passionate about tarot and you want to become a tarot reader anywhere, you can do it. Even somewhere, I don't speak the native language here, and I'm very limited to who I can or can't read for by law. So I believe if I can be successful here using your book, I think pretty much anyone can, as long as you have the drive and determination and you're willing to hustle for it, go for it.
Well, and I'm going to say, and let me ask you, okay, drive, determination, willingness to hustle, abso-freaking-lutely. I would add to that belief in yourself and your ability to do it. But, where does talent, where does skill come in? Your comment when you first thought about, or when it was first suggested to you that you work one of the psychic services, you thought was, well, I'm great with the tarot cards, but I never really thought of myself as psychic. I think way back in the beginning, I probably had the same thought. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, here you are, you get on the psychic line. I'm assuming there's many, many other psychic readers, and you make it to the top very quickly. What role does sheer talent play there? I mean, talk to me about not just the determination piece, but the talent piece. What do you want to call that talent? Now that you've been doing it for a while, what do you think? Do you now identify as psychic?
I definitely do. I definitely do think, I think we all have a natural psychic ability, but I think what the trap a lot of a lot of people, myself included, fall into is that we compare ourselves to the people we see on TV. And I have friends that have all sorts of abilities. Like my husband, he doesn't think he's psychic, but he just has this knowing. He just knows things. It's almost like he's omniscient. It's almost creepy, but I love it. And I'm very empathic. I feel a lot of information. So I think people just need to find where they're most comfortable. And no two people truly will ever have the same talent. Some people are clairvoyant and, they can see the events unfold before them. Some are clairaudient. And I think you just have to find where your talents are, and don't say I can't, I don't, I won't, things like that. Don't put those blocks on yourself. Feel free to explore and never ever compare yourself. That is the worst thing you can do.
Yeah, I think you've said a couple of things there that are really smart. One is the never compare yourself. And I would say never compare yourself to anyone, not just the people you see on TV who may in fact be fraudulent, but also anyone, your peers, your friends, anyone, only compare yourself to who you were yesterday. And the other piece there was another piece. Where was I going with that? Wow. Okay. Sorry, I just lost something. But you said a bunch of smart things in a very short little piece there. So talk to us. I know that making the transition from doing well, let me ask you this. I know from reading your blog that you've had some dissatisfaction with the online psychic services. Is that anything you care to share?
Oh, yes. I'm very open about practices of psychic hotlines. And I only know about psychic hotlines because when I was about 17, 18 years old, I would call them up and, various psychics and ask them, like, hey, how does this boy feel about me? And that's how I was introduced to psychic hotlines. And I thought, hey, this is the way to go. Let me work on a psychic hotline and see if I'm any good. But the environment on a psychic hotline can be very abusive, and it can be very controlling. And most hotlines, I won't even say 95% of hotlines, you cannot use your real name, or you shouldn't use your real name, because they own pretty much all rights to it. And if you ever want to branch off as an independent reader, a lot of times you can't do that. So there's a lot of fine lines. I know a lot of people, when we sign on to websites and, like we have Skype, I doubt most of us read the terms and agreements, but you really have to read these things when you sign on, because it's just, you'll be really surprised. A lot of things, you become their property. And that was one of the things that really concerned me. I actually went by a fake name for a while because they owned me. And not only that, a lot of the clients can get abusive. And I heard this term, I don't remember where I heard it from, but tarot dependency, where you cannot live your life without consulting the tarot, consulting a psychic. You refuse to leave the house without consulting one. And that happened a lot. And there was no morals about it. There was no, hey, we do readings every day, 2 hours every day. You got to do something else. And God forbid you ever say that, you'll get booted on the spot. A lot of them just want you to make money. And on top of that, they take 50% of your pay. I also worked for a company that was webcam based, and little did I know they also doubled as a sexual website as well. And I did not know this. And this is actually one of the most popular, I would say, even top 5 psychic hotlines right now. And I had no idea that they did this. And because I'm so young, a lot of people did come on my webcam chat and ask me to perform certain favors. And on top of that, there were secret code words that the psychics and the clients said. Like, for example, one of them was performing an energy cleansing. And they would ask the psychic, will you do energy cleansing? And energy cleansing translated to removing your clothes for the camera. And I had no idea. So that's my experience with psychic hotlines. I'm not saying, every psychic hotline is terrible, really bad, but I would definitely say if you're serious about your career, maybe use the psychic hotlines to test your ability, see where you are at, but don't take the feedback too close to heart, and I really would not recommend making a career out of it.
Now, and I do know that there are some people who have made a fabulous career.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it may depend to some extent on the, it may depend on the site.
Yes.
But what is very interesting to me is that the connection between, I hate to say this, but I'm gonna. The connection between tarot reading or psychic work and prostitution,
yes,
it's not just what you found on that psychic service. Like the concept of an energy cleansing in person takes on a whole other meaning, which certainly would also involve the removal of clothing.
Yes.
And that's not to say that I don't know energy workers, people who do energy medicine, that do legitimate energy cleansings that are not sexual. I know that happens too. But what do you think about that? I mean, this whole sort of constant connection. I used to get it all the time when I had my office, and my husband was actually my receptionist. And people would come to him and ask him, how much certain sexual favors would cost.
I definitely see the relationship between it because I call. And I don't think of this as a dirty thing at all, but I consider tarot reading and fortune telling street work. When I think of tarot reading, I think of the people that are, and I say this with the most respect possible, the people that are working the streets, working the nights, bars, and that includes, prostitution and things like that. I think there is a culture there that is rooted, in tarot reading, in sexual favors, and I just think nowadays a lot of people see it as a way to make money, and I also think that there is a disrespectful stereotype that comes from that. I have had people here in Okinawa. I'm around a lot of military men, and a lot of them do ask me if I double as a prostitute because they've always associated, fortune tellers to be like, oh, well, she's probably, working the streets or something. So I think there is a very cultural and historical background behind it, but it's not necessarily accurate for all modern day people.
That was very well said. And when I was thinking today and making my notes about what we might talk about, tarot and prostitution was not even on my radar. But here we are, and it's an interesting conversation. And there's a couple of things, and I was gonna ask you this. Obviously, you were in New York, so I'm sure you've seen it in New York. The neon storefront psychic, who will remove the family curse for a fee.
Yes.
We have them down here big time in Florida. I know they're big time in like New York and Chicago, and I know they're organized crime rings. They often engage in prostitution as well. And in fact, I've told stories on the show before, but never to you. So, I get to repeat a story once in a while. There used to be one in a certain town in which I had an office whose name was somewhat similar to mine. And people would confuse us. People would sometimes call her to make an appointment with me, or would call me thinking they were making an appointment with her.
Oh, no.
And, I would usually try to be cool about it and say, oh, you're looking for this person rather than me. This is her name. This is my name, blah, blah, blah. Because the clients would figure it out. We were very different one from another. But I would sometimes get calls later at night for gentlemen who were very obviously coming over for sex. Very clearly. And I would mess with them at that point. At that point, I wasn't honest in saying, okay, you're looking for her, not me. I would say, oh, definitely come on over, and when you do, make sure you honk your horn really loud in the parking lot so I'll hear you.
Oh, wow.
You have to have your fun somehow. But let me ask you, for me, the bane of my career has been these people whose tradition, in my mind, involves scaring people and ripping them off. Do such people also exist in Japan?
I definitely believe that it's going to be worldwide. I actually had a client come for a reading, and she told me that she was a little bit hesitant for tarot because she had gone to a local man who charged her quite a bit of money to tell her that she should have done something when she was 20 years old. I don't remember exactly what he told her, but it was something like, oh, well, she was about 35, and he said, when you were in your 20s, you should have had a child. And that was all he told her. He didn't tell her anything else. And to me, I think that's a ripoff. If it's true or not, you know what? We will never know. She can't go back and, redo it. So to me, I thought that was a ripoff.
Well, and I appreciate that. That brings up, there are the people who are trying to rip you off in the sense that they want to scare you into spending a bunch of money. But then there are the rip-offs where, I'm going to write that off to the realm of the extremely unskilled. And yes. I think your point is good. I mean, it is true that people come to us for information that is not knowable by other means. But on the other hand, we should be able to give them information that is relevant in our lives now, or in some way, verifiable, relevant, helpful, verifiable, and I do think there's a lot of readers who rely on sort of weird, obscure, past life mumbo jumbo.
Yes.
And I don't love that. So how was it that tarot was on your radar when you were 12?
I went to Barnes & Noble, and I was always my parents are Buddhist, but they say they're Buddhist, and Mom, forgive me if you're listening, but they are totally into Chinese folk tradition, and a lot of it is it's very, we do fortune telling we do palm reading, we do a lot of rituals, we have altars. So I was always very drawn to paganism because of that. So I thought I would look at several books on paganism, and right there were all these pretty cards, and it says, oh, these cards can tell the future. And I was like, ooh, that's fancy. So I remember I picked up this one deck. It had a lot of fairies on it. It's probably the Shadowscapes Tarot. I don't know if it was out back then, but it was one of those decks. And I was just so fascinated by the amount of information that there was. And when you're 12 years old, you're not, most 12-year-olds, I think, are not constricted by expectation and bias. I think when you're at that age, you're so open to the information that comes. It's truly a blessing, like, to really be able to grasp that. Because I think if I picked up tarot a little later in life, there might have been more of a fear because of what I see in the media and, what other people might tell you about tarot. And, like we talked about before, scam artists, I might be terrified that the cards will tell me, oh, you are cursed and so is your bloodline and you need to pay $5,000 to fix that. So.
Right. Right. So, what was your first deck?
I really don't remember what my first deck was, but the first deck that really, really spoke to me, that became my go-to deck, was the Transformational Tarot by Arnel Ando. And I unfortunately don't have the original version because it was limited edition, but it was on discount in a little, there's this Indian brother and sister, and they had moved into New York City, and they had this hole-in-the-wall shop, and they sold incense and soaps. And I was digging around, because I'm so broke at that age, and I was just digging around the clearance section, and there was this tarot deck just marked half off. It looked so lonely, nobody wanted it, and on it was, the cover was this magician, and he was holding a teacup in his hand, and he had these heart-shaped sunglasses on his face. And for some reason, I just felt, this deck is mine. I need to buy it. And that became my favorite go-to deck.
Oh, man, I'm sure Arnel would love to hear that story. Oh, my gosh.
I gush over her all the time. Like, I love your deck. I'm that creepy fangirl.
Oh, my gosh. And, that's so cool, because you are really the next generation tarot reader. I know that you won the Young Tarot soft. What's the name of the award you won?
I think Tarosophist. I'm pretty sure that's how. You have to say it with a British accent because Marcus is British. So it's like Tarosophist or something like. I don't know.
Right. That's why I can't do it. I'm way too American. Okay. Yeah. But you won this awesome award.
Yes.
And so I know you are of a certain age. You have to be under, 35?
Under 30.
Under 30. You are under 30.
I am 23 years old.
You are 23 years old? Oh, my gosh.
Yes.
I'm barely hatched. Oh, my goodness gracious. Okay, so let me ask some questions based on that.
Yes.
And honestly, I know a lot of young tarot readers.
Mm-hmm.
And I say to some young people, and I've had some young students, this is not a bad way to make extra money, when you're in college.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is very appropriate for young people to read tarot. And I was older when I just started learning. I didn't start learning, I think, till I was 25 or 26. I didn't go pro till I was in my early 30s. But I have students who were pro by the time they were your age.
Yes.
And so I think there's a freshness, a youth, a willingness to learn and to grow. I think there's a real value to a young reader. On the other hand, I remember even at 35, certain people not wanting to take me seriously because of my youth, and some of my young students have complained of that too. Has that been an issue for you?
Absolutely. When I first put myself out there, I was actually, someone had told me on one of the Facebook groups I was a part of, they said, I think I was 21 or 22 at the time, and they said, what do you know? You're so young. You haven't even lived your life yet. How are you going to advise other people on how to live their lives? And people have told me, I've read tarot longer than you've been alive. But the thing is, yes, I am 23, but at the same time, and I'm sorry, but this is the truth, a lot of the tarot readers out there, you guys are just getting older. And sometimes when you get older, you don't always become relatable anymore. So I believe that I do get a lot of the younger clients because they feel like I can relate to them and they can relate to me. At the end of the day, I don't think I'm selling tarot readings or I'm selling a fortune-telling service. And going back to the prostitution thing, I'm kind of selling myself. And I think all tarot readers do that. So if you are an older reader and you're in your 50s, you are probably very marketable to, other people in that age group. Because I do get a couple of older clients, but the majority of my clients are in the 18 to 30 age frame.
Interesting. And, I wonder, and this is something you'll have to see as you grow, whether the mean age of your clientele grows as you do.
I hope so, because, I don't mind how old my client are, what gender, what their preferences are, but I do believe whatever environment I'm in is the type of clientele I will attract. Most of my clients are military families, military wives with children, other entrepreneurs. So a lot of people like myself, and I think that's the biggest thing in tarot. Don't strive to market to anyone and everyone. You need to be able to have some sort of can't think of that word, starts with an N.
A niche.
Yes, that. You need to have that. And I think when my husband does get out of the military and we settle down somewhere, I probably, 20 years from now won't be the tarot reader of Okinawa anymore, but I'll probably be able to appeal to a different group of people.
Sure, and I think, in my experience, that you are wise to know this at the age that you are.
I read your books.
I'm sorry, say that again?
I said, I read your book, so I took all of your wisdom.
Well, it took me by surprise, and a lot of the wisdom you read in my book was stuff I learned the hard way. And that was a thing that took me by surprise is, what I did in business when I was 35 is very different than what I did when I was 45. And now I'm 51. It's very different now. And some of that is changing technology. Some of that is changing circumstances in my own life, what I want to do. Some of it is what I need to do. When I was younger, I was building a clientele. Now my clientele builds itself to some extent.
Yes.
So, it really does change. And I see readers who don't figure that out. I see readers who kind of lose it at a certain point because they don't know how to change their business along with everything else that is obviously changing as they get older. So obviously you will not have that problem.
I hope not. I think we all lose it at some point. I think most of us hit that point where it's like, what are we doing? We're reading cards and talking to people about their lives. And I think that is also one of the big walls you have to break through. A lot of readers don't ever realize how much they are worth and the worth of what we do, and how we strive to touch people's lives, and help change people for the better. And I think we all kind of lose it at some point, and I think you have to go through that in order to become a successful tarot reader.
That's awesome. So I remember what I wanted to say earlier, going back to tarot being of the streets. And
yes.
I think it is so interesting because I know what you mean by that. And I have very much enjoyed doing readings in nightclubs, doing readings in street festivals, at drum circles, in all kinds of really sort of earthy places, and recognizing that on some level it's a hustle, on some level it is, well, if prostitution were the first profession, maybe fortune telling was the second.
Mm-hmm.
And I've enjoyed kind of working with that attitude and working in that environment. On the other hand, I think that tarot has a place in the most, the sort of purest, most light worker-y kind of environment as well. And I think it's interesting that, we have careers where we could be reading in a nightclub on a Saturday night, and on a Sunday afternoon we could be reading in a church environment, or something more, more sacred, in a more sacred environment. That's it. What we do can be done in a very mundane environment and a very sacred environment. And there aren't that many things where that is the case. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of cool. Now, you run a pagan meetup group as well, is that true?
Yes, there's, in all of Japan, again, as far as I know, that's what I was told. In all of Japan, there are no official pagan groups, like nothing sanctioned by the chapel, at least. And there is one here in Okinawa. It is on an air base here. And we recently, there were two groups. We recently just merged together as one because, united we stand. And I am one of the 3 lay leaders for this group.
Nice. Mm-hmm. Very good. What kind of things do you do at your meetings?
We're a very open group. We're called the Ryukyu Open Circle. Ryukyu because Okinawa technically does not identify as Japan. It identifies as one of the Ryukyu Islands. So and we call it the Open Circles because we are very welcoming of all faiths and all practices, and we just ask that people are respectful of that. So it's a support group, and things that have been done, we've done meditation, we've explored different religions. I have done a class or 2 on tarot, and I actually plan on doing a full 6-hour course sometime this summer in Okinawa. People will have all these different gifts, and a lot of them don't even realize it until you point it out, like, hey, you're really gifted at that. Just yesterday we got another member, and he says that he is new at palmistry, but this guy blew me away. He was amazing, and I said, hey, you need to really get on that. And he's also a military member. We have a woman who is a high-ranking officer in the Marine Corps, and she is also a Reiki master. So it's just a big support group with all these people that have all different skills and talents. And we also do the rituals. We just had our Beltane ritual, and we just try to support everyone as best as we could because it is a big island to some extent, and there are very few pagans, and we just want to reach out to those who do want that help.
Sure. And, I have a lot of experience working on military bases in that I was in New London, Connecticut for many years, and the naval sub base is right there in Groton. So I did a lot of work with the people there, and in fact, I was often hired by the morale department to come in and teach or do readings or things of that nature. Mm-hmm. And there is a lot of, within the military community, I think there's a lot of support for whatever you might be into, but I know there's a lot of support for tarot and for paganism, and that's a fabulous thing. So when you do readings, do you have an office? Do you read in your home? Do you make house calls? Where do you actually work?
I actually have a room in my house. It was supposed to be my son's room, but he prefers sleeping in our room, so I completely redid it, and it's where all my occult work happens.
Nice, very good.
I also do with house calls, I do parties, and a lot of the women here, they are independent consultants for things like Sensi and Pure Romance, things like that. So there's also an excellent lady that does henna here, and one of the more popular parties I do is henna and tarot. So I'll be doing tarot readings in one room, and she will be doing henna on the other, and I think it's just this relaxing experience. I bring my housewives tarot, and all the women love that. They just eat that deck up. It's hysterical. And I've done military functions, a lot of big events. Parties are huge here. Everyone kind of gets bored on military bases, so
sure.
When I put this big sticker on the back of my car that says tarot readings on it with my contact information, and after that it was just party after party. People love tarot parties. They love getting drunk and getting readings.
Yep, I am so with you on that, and I'll tell you, that was the backbone, the bread and butter of my business, Fiona, for the first 10 years. I still do a lot of parties. I don't do as many as I used to, but that was the thing. So you're finding a sweet spot there. So I want to let people know we're coming. We've still got a few minutes, but not too many more. And I can see I got my chat room working, so I can see there's some folks in the chat room. If anyone would like a reading here tonight, speak now or forever hold your peace. You can pick up your phone and give us a call at 615-692-1262, or go ahead and chat your question into the chat room. I am able to see it at this time. And I've got someone in the chat room right now who we identify as waiting tonight, 9 p.m. for tarot. I thought you might maybe want a reading. Do you want to call in or you want to chat in your question? It's up to you. If you want to call in, go ahead and dial 615-692-1262, or go ahead and chat your question into the chat room. Either way is fine with us, and we'll be happy to read for you. Okay, you're in Peru. We've got someone from Peru. So yes, go ahead, my friend in Peru. Go ahead and chat your chat room. Chat your question into the chat room. And we also have a question from Spirit 7. So we're going to go with Spirit 7's question first. Go ahead and get shuffled, Fiona. Are you ready for this?
I am ready.
Okay, we're going to take Spirit 7's question, and then we will take our friend in Peru. Ahead and chat in. Anyone else, go ahead and chat in. And here's how I like to do it, if this works for you, Fiona. I'm going to give you the question. I'm going to let you focus in and give your answer. And if I want to throw in something at the end, I will as well. That way we can tag team them. Are you ready?
Woo! Yes.
Okay, cool. This is for Spirit 7. Spirit 7 wants to know how my summer will look this year career-wise. What will happen career-wise this summer for Spirit 7? Go ahead, Fiona. What do you think?
Okay, so I pulled 3 cards, and I'm going to be using my Rider-Waite deck. So first of all, the first card I have is the 6 of Swords. So the 6 of Swords shows a man rowing a boat with two other people in it. So this indicates that there might be travel, or it can also indicate you moving occupation. So career-wise, whatever you're doing right now, they're either going to send you to do something else, or you might even switch occupations altogether. And the card right next to it, here we have the 7 of Wands. I'm seeing you kind of at a crossroads right now. The 7 of Wands, I see this guy, and he's holding this giant stick in his hand. And there's also these six other sticks kind of poking out of the ground. And when I see this card, I always ask, hey guy, what are you doing? Are you trying to knock those other sticks down, or are you trying to build it up? What's going on here? So with that, I'm seeing that you are at a crossroads. You're not sure what you want to do right now, and you're not sure how to proceed. But the last card is the Lovers, which is a great card. It is a card of union, and sometimes people do see it as a card of choice and marriage. So what I think is, whatever you're doing right now, you're going to end up doing something else. You're probably going to do a career change or pick up a contract with something else. And it's a very positive card, the Lovers, because I also see the Lovers as feeling that divine love in your heart. So if you're dissatisfied right now with what you're doing, keep pursuing what you do want to do. And I believe by the summertime, the card of the Lovers will manifest and you will get what you want. And that is that divine love in a job and in a career that you're happy with.
Nice. I thought it was interesting, Fiona, that you got the Six of Swords, but then also the Lovers, which is a 6 card. And yes. The question involved summer, of course, June being the 6th month. So I would sort of see that manifesting toward the beginning of the summer, like in June versus August.
Well, that's next month.
Yeah. Now, Spirit 7 also wants to know about love life. What can you say about Spirit 7's love life, Fiona Benjamin?
Love life. Okay, I'm going to toss the cards back in really quickly, and Spirit 7's love life. I'm going to pull another 3 cards. Okay, so not sure if you're single, married, or what's going on, but the cards that came up, the first one is the 10 of Cups. And what's interesting here is, here we've got the 10 of Cups, which is this happy family, and they're all dancing under this giant rainbow, and everything is great. There's green grass, blue skies, and everything's just wonderful. There's really not a care in the world. But the number 10 always stands out to me because I see it as the card of completion. Most of us know the cards go from ace to 10 in the minor cards, and I see that as you've been through a lot. So if you're in a relationship with someone right now, you've probably been through a lot with that person. Or if you're single right now, you've probably been through a lot of hell in your relationships. But the number 10 tells me that you're going to be in a place where you're content with it. You're no longer wishing for things that cannot be. A lot of us have this notion of we are going to meet our soulmates, fall happily in love, and it's going to be like the movie The Notebook, and everything's going to be great and happy. You're at a point in your life where you no longer think of your love life as a fairy tale. So that's what the 10 of Cups tells me. It shows me contentment and happiness. The next card is a bit of a backward step. We've got the 9 of Swords, which shows somebody waking up from a nightmare and just holding their face in their hands. And the thing with this card is I always focus on the beautiful blanket covering this person, covered in roses. And when I look at this card is, I think that you have a bit of paranoia and fears in terms of your love life and your relationships, but the fact that half of your body is covered by this blanket, it shows that you are loved and you are adored. And a lot of these things are just fears, and they are just paranoia keeping you up at night, and a lot of it you can put to rest. The last card I have is the Queen of Pentacles, and here we've got this beautiful woman surrounded by roses. So what I'm seeing here is someone very content, and I'm seeing a relationship that has been built up, and reaching that point of mutual understanding and respect. So to translate that, if you are single right now, I think you're headed towards a long-term relationship that has a lot of growth power to it, something long, steady, and respectful. If you're already in a relationship, I see that you are reaching a place of that mutual respect. However, you do need to let go of some of that anxiety and paranoia that comes with the relationship, because it's keeping you up at night and it's probably the only thing blocking you right now.
Okay, that's fabulous, Fiona. And Spirit 7 does type in and says that they are indeed single. And
Okay.
I would just add, when you talk about that sense of paranoia or lack of trust, I think that spills over not just in the relationship world, but in the career world. I think some of the things that make the career life difficult for Spirit 7 are some of the same things that can make the love life difficult for Spirit 7. And some of that is having been treated unfairly in the past, and so now expecting that unfair treatment to some extent. And some of that is maybe having trusted the wrong people, so now not knowing who to trust. Maybe it all comes down to trusting yourself. I agree that there are some changes, some great opportunities coming over the course of this summer, clearly in both career and love. And I think Fiona and I are very much on the same page here. You have to trust the universe that this can happen. You have to trust yourself to make the right decisions there. And I think it'll all work out. Going back to Fiona's original Six of Swords, which for me is the card of sailing towards smoother waters, that you're actually moving forward. So good stuff. Okay, you ready for the next one, Fiona?
Absolutely.
Okay, this is our friend in Peru. Okay, in Lima, Peru, who is also a tarot reader, and wants to know if this is the year for being a tarot reader, for this person's tarot business to take off. Wants to go to Dallas in October, has a Spanish tarot webpage ready to go this July, started some workshops here, but here in Peru, tarot is not seen as cool. This person wants young people to love tarot, to have fun with it, to break out from the Catholic box. This is Maria Luisa Salazar, and in fact, I think we've connected somewhere online, Maria. It's very nice to have you here. I do want to let you know, Fiona, Spirit 7 says, thank you, dear ladies, spot on, many blessings. So well done. It's our first tag team reading, Fiona. We did it.
Yay.
Okay. So now, what about Maria Luisa? What can we tell her about getting her tarot business going? And she feels that where she is, there's not as much support for it culturally. I think you may have an answer for her both experientially and also from the cards. So you go ahead with that, Fiona. What do you have to say for Maria Luisa?
Okay, so Maria, the first card I have for you is the Eight of Swords. And there's a reason why I like this card. Even though it's kind of scary looking, we've got this woman, and she's got dark hair, and she's wearing this ragged dress, and she's completely tied up, and she's bound by the eyes, she cannot see, and she is immobilized. The reason I like this card is because she's the only person in there. What that means is, and she's surrounded by all these swords, all she has to do is walk a little bit closer to one of those swords and untie herself. She's her own prisoner. So when I hear you speak and you say, tarot is not cool here, a lot of people are Catholic here. There are Catholic tarot readers, and I actually wrote a blog article about this. The thing, you have to learn how to relate tarot to Catholicism. And I think you put yourself in a lot of these binds, and you block yourself when you say, well, tarot isn't cool, and the Catholics don't like it. They can like it, and tarot can be cool, and I think tarot's cool. So the second card is, we have the Ten of Pentacles, and beautiful cards. You see just all these happy people. I look at it as there's this old man sitting in a shop, and he's ready to pass that shop on to one of his sons who, is stopping a lady, and, he's talking to her about his business. And behind him is all these pentacles just raining down upon them. And it also looks like the tree of life. So what that is telling me is you're perfectly fine where you are right now. You do not need to move to read tarot. You just have to learn how to market yourself. And that is very important. I always tell people, you know you're a professional tarot reader is when you can put down that how to read tarot book and pick up a business book. You don't have to trade it in, but you have to pick up a business book or get a business coach. And that's what this older man staying behind this younger man is. He's that man's business coach. So if you can, where you are, hire someone to be a business coach. They don't have to be tarot related. You can get this advice from someone who's just knowledgeable in the business area and teach them how to make, tarot cool. And you're not essentially making tarot cool. You're making yourself cool. You're marketing yourself. The guy in this image, he is not pointing to anything he's selling. He's talking to this woman face to face because he's selling himself to her before he's able to sell his product to her. And the last card is the card of justice. And we've got this strong woman holding up a sword and holding a scale. You have to be fair to yourself. And that's what I definitely see in the card of justice. On the flip side, you also have to take care of the legal matters. Research legally what you can and cannot do in terms of tarot. I know in some places it's illegal to read tarot, so make sure you do check up on that on the legal side of things. But on the personal side, the card of justice, we were talking about this earlier, feeling like you deserve to be loved, feeling like you deserve to be recognized as a tarot reader is very important, because I'm looking at this girl in the first card all tied up by herself, and then I'm looking at the woman she becomes, the card of justice, a strong woman with a crown on her head sitting in her throne. She feels that she deserves her recognition and she receives it. So this year is going to be a great year for your tarot business, but you have to go out there and stop being bound by your own constraints.
Wow, Fiona, I'm feeling so just so proud of you for having figured out those truths. Your answer to Maria Luisa is exactly what my answer would have been with or without the cards. Mm-hmm. That was so well said and so brilliant. I really don't have anything to add to it, except to say what Fiona said. That's exactly right. I will pull a card, and the cards that I get just back up what Fiona said. I've got the 9 of Swords and the 7 of Swords. You have to believe that it's possible, and you have to believe that you're the one that can do it. We believe that it's possible. We both have done it, each in our own places. We know you can too. You just need to. And we have made her heart sing, she says, Fiona. Now, so that's great, and thank you guys so much for being here tonight. We have one more question in the chat room that we're going to handle before we say goodnight, Fiona. And this is for Dragonfly, who wants to know about the love life. So, what do you see for Dragonfly's love life?
First of all, Dragonfly is a very wise and powerful spirit animal. So, like that name. Okay, so I did pull 3 cards. The first card I have for you, Dragonfly, is the card of death. So that talks about moving on, and it also talks about rebirth. This can mean several different things depending on your situation. It can mean that it is time to move on from the relationship that you are in, or it is time to let go of whatever it is you're holding on to, whether it's an ex or a traumatic experience, to get the help that you need to successfully move on and rebuild yourself from that. The card of death, what I like about this card is that it is not biased at all. The card of death will come to anyone and everyone, but they just have to learn how to recognize when that Grim Reaper and that white horse comes. It means that it's time to let go and allow yourself to start a new chapter, that you are deserving of a new chapter. The Queen of Swords is the next card, and I always look at the Queen of Swords as a person who has a wall up, someone, again, who has been through a lot. I always see her as the warrior woman, the woman who she's slain dragons and they bleed at her feet, but she's still there in all her beauty and all her glory. No matter what she's been through, no matter who's kicked her, who has slandered her, she's still there. And she's that worn, widowed woman. However, she holds this sword in her hand and she lifts her other hand up because even though she is seen as a stone-cold woman, she has a heart and she has compassion, but she holds that sword up to guard that heart. So that's what I'm feeling right now, that you are guarded. You're in that healing process. And the thing is, when you have that sword up, a lot of people will not approach you. And even if you are in a relationship right now, it may come off as, I cannot speak to this person I'm in a relationship with. They are not approachable. And it also signifies communication problems. So the next card I do have for you is the Eight of Pentacles. And see, we have somebody here in this open field, and they have it's a garden, it's a vineyard, and they have this bird in their hands. And what I'm seeing here is you learning to grow from it and you being able to nurture yourself. And the reason I'm seeing you here with this bird in your hand is you learn to appreciate yourself and you learn to appreciate life rather than dwelling on these people that have hurt you, dwelling on failed relationships. Right now, I feel like you're dealing with a healing process that before you enter another relationship or find a way to fix a current relationship, you have to learn to sever ties with people and events that have hurt you in the past. And when that happens, you will find a relationship where you feel respected and deserved. But at the moment, I would focus on healing.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much for that. And Dragonfly, if you want to chat in, if you have any comments or follow-up questions there, please do. I would agree very much with what I see with Fiona in the sense that I see a lot of heartache when I look to the past for you, Dragonfly, but I see very positive things when I look to the future. So clearly you can't let the past dictate the future. Now, just very briefly from Maria Luisa. Maria Luisa wants to know if she would go to Dallas in October. Now, that's there's a tarot convention. Is that what we're talking about here?
I will be there, too.
You will be there, too. Very good. Yeah. What do you think? Do you believe that Maria Luisa will be there, Fiona?
Let's see what the cards say. Okay. So will you be there? The card of Justice really, really likes you. The cards I have are Justice, the Eight of Cups, and the Empress. So here, looking at this as one big picture, Justice and the Empress being the cards on the outside show me that you establish yourself where you are, but the Eight of Cups in the center, you walking away, shows me that you're, I'm translating as you're not willing to give up the success that you are having in Peru, because I'm seeing that you're going to be booming, girl. You're going to be, once you get that help you need, you're going to be so successful that it's not going to be just time for you yet to leave that success behind, that you're going to be building that foundation, building yourself up before you go to Dallas. You probably will go to Dallas, next year or the year after, but I think this year is a lot about saving up money for your business and working on your business. That convention is going to be here every year, so, don't be too bummed if you can't make it this year. Don't put yourself in debt or put yourself in a monetary hole because just to go to Dallas.
That's very interesting, Fiona. I just pulled one card and got the Five of Pentacles reversed, which A sort of speaks to one way or the other, you got to go where the money is. You got to take the opportunity. If staying in Peru is the better thing to do for the money, either because of not spending the money or because of making the money there, then yeah. On the other hand, I could also interpret Five of Pentacles reversed as you'll have the opportunity to go. So I kind of agree with Fiona. Do what feels best for your business. Take the long view, either way. From Dragonfly says, thank you so much. Very spot on with anything. By the way, I love dragonflies. It's the symbol of change and maturity for me. Blessed be.
Yes,
So,
yes.
So that's lovely, and what a beautiful way for us to close our time together. Fiona Benjamin, I want to thank you so much for spending this time with me. I hope you'll come back to the Psychic Cafe soon.
I hope so too. This is my first show, so I almost died when you asked me to be on the show. I'm so thankful and grateful that you did. So thank you so much.
Well, it is my great pleasure, Fiona. It is my great pleasure to know you. And so not only was this your first show, this was your first live on-air readings ever in your life. Is that true?
Yes, it is.
Wow, you kicked some ass. You did great. Really, really great stuff. For those of you who are under the age of 70, this is Fiona Benjamin. You're going to say you knew her when. 10, 20, 30 years from now, she will be knocking your socks off wherever in the world she chooses to be. In the meanwhile, if you want to get in to have a reading with her while you still can, do you do phone and Skype readings, Fiona?
I do Skype readings and also email where I record it as an MP3 and I send it to you with a photograph of the cards.
Oh, what a great idea. I love that. And what do people have to do to sign themselves up for this?
Just go on my website, www.fionabenjamin.com, and just click services, and it is right there.
Perfect. Very good. And while you're online, make sure you check out tarotbychristiana.com. And if you don't receive my weekly newsletter, make sure you sign up for it. We'll see you back here next week at the Psychic Cafe. Have a wonderful week, everyone. Thanks so much. Thanks, Fiona. Have a great night.
Thank you.